And we're back, dreamers. Thank you so much for rejoining me here on the Mystic Escape. I am your host, Dion Mystique, amateur writer, and this evening we're going to continue with the second portion of Chapter 3, Phantasms of Nostalgia. The first part, you got to see a little bit about Dante and his little hang-ups and his guilt and him actually trying to be, a man about his situation instead of sitting back and allowing others to fight his battles for him. So that was a bit of character development for him. In this portion, we're going to focus on the nurse that you met at the end of the first portion. The one Dante easily passed by and she got knocked down because of his stronger influences from his place in Purgatorio versus her fractured existence. Yeah, she's going to be in this, as well as the returning Mark Antony, who is presently kind of banged up a bit. He's in the hospital after the canon storyline getting messed up by Claudio. At first you see him as somewhat of a goon, but you'll get to see a different portion of him, a different side of him in this segment. What we're going to do right now is, first off, before we get into this, we're going to take out just 10 seconds, not me actually, but you can pause out the video any duration that you want to and come back later. Remember, this is a channel about love and getting to know you, being cool, chilling out. So get yourself a munchy, a sippy, a smoky, or whatever you do, and come back and get back to me. It's all about love, dears. And we're going to pause the video right now. And we're back, lovelies. All right, here we go. Continuing after the first line spacing. Unfortunately, the young nurse arrives to the front desk to receive confusing news. Dante hasn't been seen leaving the premises. By order of his family, Dante was sanctioned to spend the night at Fiore General so that he could monitor Mark Antony's recovering body. This response was given because not a single soul could see Dante leaving the hospital, for he moves to an alternate dimension that renders him invisible to the naked eye. By this time, it has been several minutes since he left with plans to return come the latter parts of the day. All of this remains unknown because of the factors that be, which leaves the younger nurse questioning her understanding of what's happening around her. Excuse me, dears. At the moment, she travels to Mark Antony's room in the recovery ward, where she will continue her duties as his current charge. She takes the express elevator to reach the fourth floor, where she takes a right turn and heads straight to room 40167. Upon arriving, the young nurse notices the door has been left ajar, but slowly closes in reaction to creaking shafts that pull it shut. Ugh. Excuse me. I'm going to change that from the door to his door because that's Mark Antony's door. My apologies. In these moments, the nurse is frozen with uncertainty, and she didn't hear anyone traversing the hallway before her. No, I expect to calm down. Maybe this is a good thing. Her apparent optimism, an apparent optimist, the young nurse releases a hard breath from her lungs that carries all manner of worry with it. That is, if one miscounts the level of fear behind her otherwise convincing smile. You see, even if one smiles, there's a secondary substance behind it, something that goes unseen. In this fractured reality, a smile is very deceiving in that it hides motives of untold potential. What may seem beautiful to many can be agonist to the individual. Pull yourself together, Mercutia, before you end up losing your job. This is Mercutia, the young nurse. That's Claudio's girlfriend. The young nurse motivates herself in silence as she places her hand on the entrance handle. You have a patient that needs tending, so focus your attention on the situation at hand. Listen to me consoling myself in thought. If I didn't know any better, I would say I were a jetter. With a turn and push of the entrance handle, Mercutia gains access to Mark Antony's recovery room, where she instantly notices how dark it has become. The windows are closed and all lighting has been deactivated. Perhaps by request, but such a dismissal would be naive in this case. The building's central cooling system is still active, as protocol would have it. However, the system's humming leaves a virtually freezing sensation that endures. As the entrance closes, Mercutia motions her adjacent hand for the light switch at her left. No, I don't want any light. Be a good doll and leave it off, okay? The sound of Mark Antony's handsome voice emits from afar. Near the curtained windows, Mercutia observes the north, where his voice can be heard, to see an entrancing silhouette of a man like that of a Herculean beast. From what his umber reveals, Mercutia can perceive the bandages upon his head and a fitting scrub that does little to hide his apparent muscular frame. Uh, I know who you are. You're his girlfriend. The guy who put me in here. Mercutia gasps, ignorant of Claudio's endeavors before this moment. Don't be too upset, I deserved it. He was only trying to protect his loved ones. And I was following orders. Mark Antony. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Mark Antony calms Mercutia with his words. The Hercule turns to stare at her with his unbandaged right eye, which has a slight glint. No doubt from the Halidome resting in his spirit. Mercutia can also see a forced smile, an expression that confesses a depth of inner pain that Mark Antony conceals with a straight face. Oh, and you don't have to worry about a thing. I'm not a scumbag, so I won't involve you in any of this, especially since harming you won't resolve anything. Why are you telling me all this? I'm thirsty. Could you bring me something to drink? I, I, Mark Antony purposely avoided her question. Since he's said enough, in truth, should Mercutia learn of Claudio's allegiances, it would strain their relationship. At first, she wouldn't believe it because, let's be honest here, things like what the knighthoods are fighting for, such wonders don't happen in real life. It's too surreal, too extraordinary, so much that any skeptic would dismiss their endeavors as a madman's fantasy. You're a mystery, Mr. Waini, giggles Mercutia, turning Mark Antony away in a blush. How rare. Mm, Mercutia is the first to witness the Hercule's gentle side, a personality that surfaces from the darkest of obscurity. Mm. All right, drink it is. What will you be having? Mm. My spirit craves water. I'll have one on the rocks, please. Not a problem, Mr. Warini. I will be back shortly. Mercutia exits the room in high spirits, no doubt a trait she adopted as the daughter of the city's governor. This personality, it reminds Mark Antony of someone from another life, someone he was so close to, not even the forces of death could part them. A special person. He considered his world. He tries remembering this person's face, but the image is blurry, so much that he can barely make out a figure. It's as if his memory has been virtually erased from his subconscious, but still exists because he remembers how important this person was to him. Mark Antony was orphaned at a very young age, at only 2 months, left on the Diakonos doorstep. The only sign he has of his parents' concerns is a letter currently in the possession of Dante's father, Niccolo. It would be considered childish to most, but every day, from the age of 6 until recently, Mark Antony would request to see the letter, just to know that they cared enough to give him a suitable home. His parents. However, the Diakonos raised Mark Antony with the utmost of strictness that one would expect from their kind, a cruelty that cries arrogance and low self-esteem. Through their abuse, Mark Antony became a knight, one that clings unto humanity despite knowing how blood-stained his hands are. Due to his inner struggles, the Hercule's body is a wonderland of scars and bruises, some of which have yet to heal. Yet that one person, the one who's most precious to him, this person gave Mark Antony kindness, though he struggled to understand it, a beacon of light that shone vibrantly in the abyss of sorrow that is his jaded heart. I'm going to remember you. Even if death stands before me, remembering your smile and how it made me feel human. That will be my reason to live. I know it's juvenile and somewhat selfish, but if one thinks about it, could they blame me? Me, a man who has never known love or received it justly. Only pain, only suffering. Being told that I'm useless, being treated like a disposable attack dog. It took knowing you to, as his emotions surface, for the first time in his life, he feels that cool sensation before one weeps. The dip of his spirit and how it warms the eyelids. Nothing has ever made him cry before. But the thought of how wonderful his world was to him, Mark Antony can't help but enjoy these sweet recollections. I will remember who you are, and I will find you. Then we can escape this nightmare, just like we promised that one night. That night when I realized how much you meant to me. Chameleon, please. Mhm. Please, help me reclaim my world. And that is it for this portion of chapter 3. You see that difference in him? He's not so much of a goon. This young man has a lot of hang-ups. He's a gentle giant, though he doesn't seem like it at first. And to be honest with you, Mercutia, she can relate. As you saw, she related to him not just because that's her patient, but because um, if you're the type of person who knows when someone has a lot of baggage on them, you can understand some of the things that they do. He was an orphan, and his parents gave him to the Diaconos because they're one of the richest families in Fiorentina, but also in the real reality and others. One of the richest in Fiorentina or Florence, Italy. Um, so his parents thought that some way, somehow, he would benefit from being with them, but in a lot of ways he did, but in a lot of ways he did not. He's scarred up. He's constantly getting hurt. He feels so small compared to so many people, and that is something heavy on any person, especially a man, because men, you know how men are, guys. Is It's all about our self-esteem and our pride and feeling like the man, but he never got that in his life. He was always being treated like some damn attack dog, like he wasn't even a person, like he was just some type of animal, and being treated that way, he was kind of like a lot of people who become feral like that. He had someone in his life in the original reality that showed him so much love and affection that he started remembering that he is human. So this person that he calls his world, his aim is he's trying to find this, and he's asking his Haley Dome chameleon to help him find that person. But there's something about chameleon and Mark Antony that you really don't know yet, and that includes Mercutia. So as the story progresses along, you're going to see different sides of even these people and what's going on. So we're going to come to a stopping point right here for now, and we're going to continue this on a little bit later in part 3 of chapter 3, um, in our little triple feature. Now, dears, this next portion is going to introduce someone else that was mentioned before, but also reintroduce another one of our characters in a different light. You're going to see a different side, as well as another person that was never mentioned, was kind of mentioned, but never mentioned until now. So, RCS people, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Get back to me, and like I will get back to you just momentarily. And remember, my dreamers, be free, be open minded, and love each other. Blessings.